Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2 and today I'll be showing you guys an absolutely insane LMG build where you can easily get over 200,000 armor while doing well over 1 million DPS, and you're just an absolute tank able to just stomp through all the content in the game doing tons of damage as you can see in the gameplay. Ton of fun to use, would highly recommend using it. I know that World Tier 5 is going to come out in a couple days, but trust me, this build is still going to be way more than relevant even with World Tier 5 coming out and some changes being made, so I figured it'd be good to let you guys know about it early so you can be ready to farm the gear for it and know what to look out for. As always though, if you enjoy the video, please make sure to drop a like as that helps me out a ton, subscribe for videos similar to this one, and follow me on Twitch for daily streams and gameplay of the newest builds at twitch.tv/nick2. I'm also still offering farming services where if you need help gearing, leveling up, farming for the perfect build to shred with, whatever the case may be, feel free to email me at nick2biz@gmail.com and I would love to help you out. But anyways, let's get right into it. Alright, so just like every other build video, we're going to start off with the specialist. With this build, I'm going to be running sharpshooter. Reason being is headshot damage, reload speed, and stability is insane on LMGs, especially the reload speed, because with an M60, which is the gun I'm using, my reload time is like over 5 seconds, so this helps me out a ton. The headshot damage obviously is a lot of damage, and stability is really nice, especially because we're using the talent unhinged, so you pretty much don't have any vertical recoil. A lot of people might say, you know, why not run demolitionist for the 15% increased damage? You could, but then you have the problem that, you know, you have problems with recoil and your reload time is really long. Some people might say you could run filler up talent on your holster, and then that kind of eliminates the reload problem. I suppose you could do that, but you end up losing the damage talent on your holster. It's up to you if you want to do that. Go for it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would much rather just go for sharpshooter. So starting off with the build, pretty much like every other build, it's not perfectly min-max. There's a couple things I could do to make it a lot better and just gain a lot of damage, and I'll definitely make sure to explain that. But the core components of this build, pretty similar to the MK build that I made. Core components are safeguard and unstoppable force and patience, and the way that safeguard pairs with patience. So safeguard is just going to be giving you extra healing after you kill somebody, 150%, which is a ton, and then you pair that with patience. This is going to be giving you just free armor when you're in cover. So if you get low, pop yourself in cover, heal yourself with safeguard. Safeguard actually by itself is insane. You could literally run this build without even running patience, and it's so crazy because safeguard makes your chem launcher and any other heal that you have heal you for 150% more, which is just absolutely crazy. Put 2 chem launchers down, you're full HP. But if you want to play more passive and always be super safe, patience is great here. Instead of patience though, you could always run hard hitting for more damage, but I think it's worth it to go patience. And then unstoppable force. The reason that we have this, pretty much because on LMGs you can't get the berserk talent. The only other talent that you would be able to get with your LMG on your chest piece would be like hard hitting. And I mean, since you're already stacking so much armor because of the requirement for safeguard being, you know, 5 or less red rolls, since you're already stacking so much armor, you might as well do this. You're just getting so much free weapon damage from this, and you end up doing a ton of damage, and you pretty much make up for the lost damage from not having a whole bunch of offensive rolls. So I'll go into every individual piece and how you want to set up brand sets, etc. First off though, let's just start off with the weapon. I'm running an M60. This is going to be the best LMG in the game for pure damage. You can also run a M249 MK46. That's probably the second best. And the third best would be an RPK, but I would definitely try to get an M249 or an M60, as there's a large margin in terms of damage difference between an RPK and the M249 and M60. For the talents here, you want to go with Unhinged and then Allegro. Holster talent doesn't really matter. Reason we're going for Unhinged instead of Frenzy is Unhinged is literally just 25% free damage all of the time. Frenzy is way too inconsistent, and it requires you to be shooting all of your bullets and reloading all of the time. If you want to go Frenzy though, just use an RPK because the mag size is smaller and the reload time is way faster. But I think Unhinged is better, especially because you get to use an M60 with it. Now, the mod slots are pretty unconventional. You might be thinking, why the fuck accuracy and accuracy here as well? The reason being is because with Unhinged, you're losing a lot of weapon handling, which means that the bloom on the LMG is going to be really bad, making you miss a lot of shots, so you have to compensate by gaining accuracy. And on these rolls, or on these mod slots I should say, the only thing you can really get would be like crit damage on the muzzle and crit damage on the scope. But with this build, we don't have that much crit chance or crit damage because we're running, you know, 5 or less, so you're not really losing out on that much damage, and, you know, you get to use the Unhinged talent, which is 25% weapon damage, which is crazy. For the underbarrel, we're using crit chance, and for the mag size, we're just using, or magazine rather, we're just using this for reload speed so that we don't have to spend too much time reloading. That's definitely way more worth than getting the extra rounds. And then, of course, just going for accuracy to compensate for the fact that we're using Unhinged. If you don't have this, the gun is going to be very difficult to use. The second gun, we're using Chatterbox just for the holster talent, which is going to give us a ton of rate of fire after we reload when killing somebody. Now, getting into individual brands, which is pretty important since we're going to be trying to stack as much armor as possible here while maintaining a lot of damage. Definitely want to get Petrov on the chest for the 10% LMG damage, but for the other brands, it gets a little bit complicated. I would say you for sure want to go for 2-piece Araldi rather, because you're getting 10% accuracy and 10% headshot damage, which will help you do, I mean, the accuracy helps you compensate for Unhinged a lot actually, and the headshot damage is just free damage that you would otherwise want anyways, also because there isn't really any other good gloves worth getting with this build. And then for the other set piece, you probably want Gila or Gila, as some people call it. I don't know what it is, whatever. Probably want Gila Guard because you're getting armor. I do have 2 pieces here. I'd probably rather have it set up where I have, instead of an Araldi holster, maybe I have a DNH holster, and then I have like 2-piece DNH here, and then I have an Araldi backpack and only 1-piece Gila. You can probably do that. But the hazard protection is nice, and of course the armor is great as well. Maybe you could go 2-piece Overlord, but because you get extra armor from that, but I don't know, you don't really need the rifle damage. For my mask though, I'm running Murakami just because I have a pretty good roll as a Murakami mask, and 8% health isn't that bad. But you could also maybe try to set this up with Wyvern or DNH, just up to the pieces that you have. There isn't really any other decent brand set worth running here, but I would, like I said before in the other rifle build, you probably just want to prioritize every individual roll first and then worry about the brand sets later, but definitely make sure you're using a Petrov chest as you don't want to lose out on that damage, and the Araldi pieces are very important as well, but everything else will just come in time. For every individual roll for the mask, you're going to be wanting to get either health here or hazard protection. Hazard protection just helps you against status effects like getting fire, shock, stuff like that. It's pretty helpful. It's really nice, especially when getting like nade spammed by NPCs. This actually does help a lot. And then I just got damage to elites. That's just free damage. Like I said, there's only 5. You can only use 5 red rolls with this, or offensive attributes with this build. So you definitely want to get the damage to elites here, because the only other thing you can get is crit chance. And I think you'd rather have 40% damage to elites than crit chance. But if you get like a really high crit chance roll, I think you get like 7%. Maybe it'd be worth it. It's up to you though. And then, of course, hazard protection. And then for the talent, you 100% want to get hard hitting. You don't want to lose out on that damage to elites. Can't really get any other decent mask talent anyway. For the chest piece, for the rolls here, my chest piece is pretty shitty. Ideally, you want bonus armor, weapon damage, and headshot damage. I don't care about the skill power, but Petrov is always going to roll with 4, so it's kind of unlucky there. I'd much rather have the skill power be way lower, or maybe the armor be a little bit lower so that I could get higher weapon damage and higher headshot damage. But it's not terrible. It has the rolls that I need on it. For the backpack, or not, what am I saying? For the talent, Unstoppable Force here. And for the mod, I just have additional armor, no big deal. For my holster, I have an Araldi holster. You probably don't want to go for a damage talent on your holster. Maybe you could go for crit chance if you don't have that good of like a chest piece or something. But I just went for health here because why not? You can't really get armor here, and it's a decent attribute. And then for the talent, I just went precise. I think you can get a utility mod slot on here, but we have an offensive mod slot. I can't put anything in there because that would go towards my 5 red attributes, so is what it is. I believe you can get one with a utility slot though, but it's not going to help out that much. Just make sure to get precise or devastating here. Some people like to go hard hitting. I don't think it's worth it. Putting all your eggs in one basket there. I think it's much more worth just to go for devastating or precise. For the backpack, this one's kind of a pain in the ass to get, and I definitely could have a way better backpack here. Ideally, you want bonus armor and weapon damage. You probably don't really care about the health here, but I guess it's nice. It depends on which backpack you run, what rolls you get, but I got bonus armor and crit chance. I'd much rather have the crit chance be weapon damage, but I couldn't roll this, so is what it is. And then for the talents, you want safeguard and hardened. Instead of hardened, you could go for hard hitting. Maybe vital, but vital is not going to be as good as hardened is. But maybe hard hitting if you want extra damage. But I mean, if I were to lose the 10% armor, I'm losing like 20k armor almost, and that's a lot of armor to be losing. The mods, I just got armor and then headshot damage, which is really nice right here. For the gloves, my gloves are pretty shitty. You probably want Araldi gloves, and then you want to get LMG damage on them. Flat LMG damage is going to net you more damage than almost any other attribute is going to. And then for the talent, unfortunately I have Obliterate. This is pretty useless because it only lasts for 5 seconds, and I have very low crit chance. It's not terrible, but it's not good. I would much rather have I would much rather, I would prefer to have devastating or precise, but you could, I guess, get surgical because you have such a low crit chance with this build, but it's probably not worth it because you don't have very much crit damage, so definitely want to just go for precise or devastating here. Maybe could go for hard hitting, but I, again, wouldn't recommend it. Definitely precise or hard hitting. For the knee pads, you want armor on your knee pads for sure. Only red attribute you can get is crit chance here, and that's not worth it, so just go for the armor. And then for the talents, you want patience, of course, like I mentioned before, or hard hitting, if that's what you want. And for the mods, I got 5% headshot damage and a defensive mod, which is great. Doesn't go towards my 5. Hey, agent, shut the fuck up. This doesn't go towards your red attribute. And then the defensive system, awesome, more armor. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of skills. I like to run chem launcher for the heal and drone for the heal as well. This is really good, as you can see in the gameplay. And then you can go high reviver as well if you want to. Here's just a rundown of my stat sheet. Got all these talents. Very low crit chance, as you can see. Very low crit damage as well, but I have pretty high headshot damage. Very good reload speed bonus, which is great there. And 28% all weapon damage bonus, 21% LMG damage bonus, and 36% hazard protection, with a combined health pool of about 260k, which is pretty good. A lot of people say they don't notice the armor, but I'm telling you, you'll notice it once you try the build for sure, especially with Safeguard. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the build and that this helped, and enjoy the gameplay. See ya.
Your goal is a collection of transcripts and notes from months of prisoner interrogations. Information stored on a military-grade laptop, kept in the main holding area downstairs. Damn the division! First priority is to release the prisoners to keep the True Sons busy. Some kind of security terminal. The security terminal should be somewhere nearby. Promising. Find it and patch eyes again. Okay, I'm in. Now to open the cells. And the cells are open. The main holding area is downstairs. Get moving. True Sons seem to be in control of the holding area. The hyenas are knocking out security cameras. Pretty smart of them.
You got a description?
Engaging!
Reinforcements en route.
Coming near. This is gonna be... Come on, let's do it! We've lost one! Yeah, that's right. Move as a unit! How you like that?
Damn, I thought I...
Just lost the camera feed from the holding area. There was a bright flash and then static. Picked up on camera again. The holding area is just ahead. Once you find that laptop, grab it and get the hell out of there.
Looks like you got True Sons reinforcements headed your way.
North or south side?
Both. Heavier concentration to the south.
With all those gates sealed, the north exit should be closer.
We've got this! Trying to break through! Well done, Target!
Gotta get after this.
We galloping Jews! What the hell is going on here? Put these fuckers down!
No, first! Get too close!
uncovered intel that's going to be a whole lot of help to Odessa in the short term, but to all of us in the long run. You also effectively put this hellhole out of